in the 9th year of my engagement to Pablo. I still hadn't seen a wedding. After seeing him flaunt his love with that fake heiress again, I stopped waiting, and I no longer screamed or questioned anything. I tossed the engagement ring into the trash bin and calmly booked a plane ticket to leave the country 2 weeks later. Right as I was about to board, a text from Pablo popped up. "Elena, why aren't you back yet? It's our engagement anniversary today. Didn't you prepare a gift for me?" I smiled and replied, "Here's your gift, freedom. We're done." Chapter 01. After I got injured, Pablo called. "Elena, you made Zoe cry again. Can't you grow up a little? Zoe is upset because you." I didn't bother to argue. I just hung up. Zoe sent me a new picture every hour, each one of her and Pablo in bed. "Didn't you say you'd die without Pablo? Go on. Then, show me." In the last video, filled with moans and skin, I heard Pablo's cold voice clearly. "I hope she really dies." Blood poured from my arm. I felt dizzy, but hearing his voice, I suddenly came to my senses. I whispered weakly, "Uncle Butler, can you call an ambulance for me?" But downstairs, my mother's shrill, impatient voice rang out. "Elena, what nonsense are you pulling now? Can't go a day without acting out? You've no class at all." Before I lost consciousness, I heard my father's heavy sigh. "Ignore her. She's faking illness again just to get attention." When I opened my eyes again, the sharp scent of antiseptic filled my nose. My father pushed the door open with a stony face. I was genuinely happy to see him. I opened my dry lips to speak, but his words froze me in place. "If you're awake, get back home. You've humiliated us enough. Trying to kill yourself? People might think we abuse you." I smiled faintly. "That won't happen again." A nurse nearby, watching his back as he stormed off, whispered gently, "What kind of father is that? Looks more like an enemy. You're so beautiful. Sweetie, don't cry, ruins your pretty face." Her kindness stung far more than my parents' coldness. I smiled more sincerely this time. The love I begged for from my parents and from Pablo, I didn't want it anymore. With my wrists still bandaged, I returned home weakly. The house was filled with laughter and the clinking of dishes. Pablo was sweetly feeding Zoe dessert. When I stepped in, my parents didn't even lift their heads. They viewed my suicide attempt as an embarrassment. So naturally, they hadn't told anyone else. Zoe, on the other hand, waved at me with a smile. "Welcome home. Sister, you look pale. You should eat something to recover." Pablo frowned slightly, a hint of helplessness in his voice. "Zoe, don't worry. Elena's always been tough. The most important thing is that you take care of yourself." But I remembered, back when I had just been brought home, Pablo used to look at my sunken cheeks and dull hair with genuine concern, to help nurse me back to health. He studied recipes and cooked for me every day himself. At the time, he would say earnestly, "Elena, your body's weak. You need proper care for a long time." But now, he only cooks beauty soups for Zoe. I kept my face calm as I walked upstairs. Behind me, my mother sighed aloud. "If only Zoe were our real daughter. That other one's nothing but bad luck, not good enough for Pablo." Zoe giggled sweetly. "Oh, Mom, you're always joking." When I was little, Pablo had taken me out to play. We were childhood sweethearts, engaged by family promise. But that day, I was abducted. To make amends, Pablo's family vowed to honor the engagement no matter what. My parents adopted Zoe to fill the void left by losing me. But 9 years ago, when I was finally found, I became the extra one in the family. The day they brought me home was the death anniversary of my adoptive mother. At the cemetery, Pablo held an umbrella over my head to block the light rain. He handed me a bouquet, gesturing for me to lay it at the grave. People always said I clung to Pablo for his money, but only I knew. I had remembered that bouquet for 9 whole years. Yet no matter how beautiful the flowers, they eventually wither, just like my love for Pablo, worn away by years of disappointment. I called my senior overseas. He paused in surprise, then said cheerfully, "Sis, the professor will be thrilled to hear you're coming back." My nose tingled, my eyes grew red. "The position of principal cellist has always been yours. We've all missed you." My home was in Beijing. Yet those who truly cared for me were halfway across the world. If I died here, those who treated me like dust wouldn't shed a single tear. Since there's nothing left to hold me back, then I'll go chase the future that's mine. Without hesitation, I booked a plane ticket. Departure in 2 weeks. Chapter 02. When I returned to Pablo's house to pack my things, I got a call from him. He, unusually anxious, urged me, Elena, come to this address right now. I pressed my lips together and answered calmly, I'm busy, I don't have time. There was a pause on the other end. He clearly hadn't expected me to refuse so firmly. After a while, his voice turned dry and strained. You've always wanted to go to the amusement park, right? I can take you now. I cut him off. If I want to go somewhere, I'll go on my own. His voice turned sharp with anger, clearly displeased by my response. It's Zoe's birthday party. The cellist just canceled. Come fill in. Now. I hung up without another word. When I turned my phone off silent, I saw a dozen missed calls from Pablo. After I was found, Zoe quickly monopolized all of my parents' love. At the time, Pablo was the only one who stayed by my side. He pitied how lost and confused I was, and did everything he could to encourage me. But pity fades. Affection changes. I went abroad for 4 years, and during that time, Pablo fell in love with Zoe. I could have stayed with a world-class orchestra overseas, but I gave all that up. For the illusion of family and love, what I got in return was to become a nobody in a third-rate ensemble. When I came back, they made me join a reality show with Zoe. On screen, she and Pablo acted so sweet, so intimate. The moment I touched Pablo's wrist, netizens swarmed me, calling me a homewrecker. I asked Pablo why he wouldn't explain or make our relationship public. That handsome man didn't hesitate for a second. Zoe's in the middle of her career boom. Our CP fans still need strengthening. For Zoe's birthday party livestream, Pablo paid big money to hire a new cellist. In front of the camera, he said gently, if Zoe wanted the stars, I'd pull them down for her. Zoe smiled sweetly at him. I wanted to invite Elena, yeah, but I think she's still mad at me. I scoffed. How cheap. But unfortunately, the internet always eats up Zoe's fragile little flower act. Last time, she deliberately stirred up hatred from CP fans. A rabid fan attacked me in an underground garage with a knife. Luckily, she only scratched my neck lightly before being tackled by security, but I was still shaking, terrified, and crying as I called Pablo, begging him to take me to the hospital. What I heard was the sound of lips and tongue intertwined. Wet clothes. After a long pause, he slurred, don't be dramatic. I'm busy with work. In the video, Pablo gently stroked Zoe's hair, his eyes full of tenderness. I smiled faintly, my gaze landing on the ring on my pale finger. The diamond shimmered so brightly. It was hard to look at. I quietly slipped it off, then casually tossed it into the trash. The table was full of birthday gifts Pablo had given me over the years, from the handmade necklace he crafted when I first came home, to the perfume he grabbed at any airport duty-free shop. When love fades, so does the effort behind it. But back then, I just didn't want to admit it. I shoved all those precious past birthday gifts into a trash bag, then let out a long, bitter breath. When Pablo came home that night, he avoided my eyes as he handed me a bowl of fish maw porridge. Elena, Zoe is your sister. This whole publicity stunt with her won't affect our engagement. I noticed the deep red hickey behind his ear. My expression didn't change. I know, that year, just because I once said I craved roasted chestnuts, he'd wandered half of Beijing on a snowy night to find them for me. But that boy no longer existed. I didn't care to ask whether Pablo had betrayed me out of loneliness, or a fleeting thrill. The moment he chose to trample on our love, hiding behind the excuse of taking care of his sister to enjoy the thrill of taboo, there was no longer a future for us. Chapter 03. On Pablo's birthday. There were just 3 days left before my flight. We had agreed, this year, we'd spend it, just the two of us. But ever since I came back from studying abroad, his 2-person birthday hadn't changed. It was still a party for 2, just him and Zoe now. I used to cook longevity noodles with my own hands. Smiling as I watched him finish the entire bowl. This year. Pablo rushed down the stairs while buttoning his sleeves. No time for noodles. I've got stuff tonight. His voice cut off the moment he looked at the dining table. There was only a cup of coffee. The table looked painfully empty. Noticing his gaze, I smiled and nodded. Go ahead. You're busy. Pablo hesitated, then stepped over, sat at the table. How about I book a restaurant tonight? Before he could finish, his phone screen lit up. I glanced briefly. It was a selfie of Zoe in the kitchen, wearing an apron. Pablo GE. I'm cooking for you today, myself. Pablo sucked in a sharp breath. His pupils shrank. He licked his dry lips. Elena. I have a big work thing tonight. Next year, we'll definitely celebrate together. I stared directly into his eyes, until he nervously tugged at his earlobe, a guilty little habit I knew all too well. I lifted the corners of my mouth. Just a little, seeing my smile. Pablo visibly relaxed. He patted me gently on the back. It's settled. Then, watching him rush off, I quietly ate the sandwich in front of me. Who he chose to celebrate his birthday with didn't matter anymore. That night, I came across Zoe's secret Weibo account. She deliberately mentioned me. The photo showed Pablo bowing his head, making a wish. Fireworks blooming outside the window behind him. Caption: this year, next year, and all the years ahead, together. I sneered and gave it a silent like. The next second, Zoe's messages came flooding in. Sister, the house is yours. Pablo, he's all I have. I know you're engaged, but he loves me now. He hasn't broken up with you because he doesn't want to hurt you too badly. When I didn't respond, her words became more vicious. He used 4 condoms on me last night. When was the last time you two were even intimate? Admit it or not. During your 4 years abroad. The one under him was me. Why are you clinging to someone who doesn't love you? Expressionless. I read her taunts and tossed my phone aside, maybe sensing something off about my attitude. Pablo, for once, stayed home the next day. His gaze flickered. He gently took my wrist. Where's our engagement ring? My injured arm was still wrapped. I flinched in pain, my voice trembling slightly. Took it off while showering. Let go. Seeing sweat drip down my temple. Pablo, startled, pulled back my sleeve. You're hurt? Why didn't you tell me? I frowned, yanked my arm back. The stitches come out today. Pablo's eyes darkened. He blinked, bit his lip. I'll go with you to the hospital. Months had passed since I last sat in the passenger seat of Pablo's car. Now, it had a soft pillow and a warm blanket. Noticing I'd paused, he quickly tossed them in the back seat. Not long after we started driving, his phone rang. The ringtone? A cutesy love song sung by Zoe. He glanced at me, seeing that I kept staring silently out the window. He hesitated, then answered. A tearful voice echoed through the speaker. Pablo, my dress for tonight's party got ruined by my period. Pablo immediately tried to soothe her. Don't worry, I'll buy you a new one right now. Do you still need the same brand of sanitary pads? As we passed through a remote stretch of road, he suddenly stopped the car. He looked at me, lips trembling, but no words came out. I smiled, looked straight at him, and opened the car door. He seemed a bit surprised at how decisively I got out of the car, but only hesitated for a few seconds before leaving me alone by the roadside. That night, when Pablo returned home, I was sitting quietly in the dimly lit living room. He came closer, leaning down like he used to, trying to nuzzle into the crook of my neck. Elena, tomorrow I'll take you to the new rose garden. Zoe says it's beautiful there. The cloying scent of women's perfume filled the air. I turned away, looking into his vaguely confused eyes. I said softly, Pablo, I'm allergic to rose pollen. He let out an awkward laugh, then picked up the calendar from the coffee table. There, on tomorrow's date, our engagement anniversary, was a big red circle. Pablo let out a sigh of relief and smiled. See you tomorrow. In my heart, I quietly replied, Pablo, never again. Early the next morning, I left the villa with my suitcase. Silently, As the plane took off, a text came in. Elena, it's our engagement anniversary today. You didn't prepare anything for me? Every previous year, he'd wake to a handmade gift from me on his pillow. This time, I smiled as I typed, here's your gift, freedom. We're done. Chapter 04. After sending that last message, I turned off my phone. 30,000 feet in the sky. Far back in the country. Pablo stared at his screen in disbelief. He tried calling me, but only got the powered-off message. He didn't even bother putting on slippers, as he rushed to knock on my door. After I returned from studying abroad, he told me he came home late because of work, and that we should sleep in separate rooms, so he wouldn't disturb my rest. Only later did I find out. He just didn't want me interfering with his late-night trysts with Zoe. Now, the gentle face that used to appear behind that door was gone. Pablo, flustered, pushed the door open, only to be met with an empty room. The gifts he had once given me were stuffed into garbage bags. The framed photo of us on the table was already gathering dust, clearly untouched for a long time. He rushed to the balcony. Elena, stop joking. Come out. Will you? But the only answer was silence. From the corner of his eye, he noticed a glint near the trash bin. His gaze was drawn to it. With trembling fingers, he reached in and pulled out the ring. His eyes were bloodshot. When the plane landed, the first thing I saw was my senior waiting at arrivals. Next to him stood Noah, holding a bouquet of hand-knitted flowers. I chuckled, took off my sunglasses, revealing slightly misty eyes. Welcome home, little junior. The professor heard you're coming back. He gave you the entire vineyard. That old man really is rich and generous. I laughed again, teasing. Well, I am his favorite final disciple. Noah, who had been silent, spoke quietly. Now that you're back, don't leave again. Years ago, before I left the country, he cried in the snow and told me, Elena, if you're ever unhappy, come back. I'll always be here waiting. I smiled, eyes curved, and patted his shoulder gently. I'm not leaving again. The moment I turned my phone back on, a flood of missed calls came through, all from the same person, Pablo. I stared at my lagging phone screen, the smile on my face stiffening just a little. My senior pursed his lips and said, all these years, just to be a prop in that jerk story? From a cello prodigy to basically vanishing from the scene, we never should have let you go back. I've got rehearsal. Noah will take you home. That guy's barely slept the past 2 weeks. Worried you'd change your mind again. Just then, my phone rang. The caller ID surprised me. Someone I hadn't expected at all. It was my father. His voice seething with anger. Elena, you little disaster. Disappearing like that first thing in the morning? Pablo's going crazy looking for you. Get home now. You hear me? If you don't apologize today, don't bother calling me your father again. I blinked. Not a single tear fell from his words. That house was never mine. I'm not going back. He seemed taken aback. My calm clearly not what he expected. His tone softened. Confused. What's that supposed to mean? I looked into Noah's eyes, full of concern, and offered a small, comforting smile. Exactly what I said. I wish you, Zoe, and Pablo all the happiness in the world as one big, perfect family. I hung up. Noah sighed beside me. What kind of life did you even have back there? Seeing his frustration, I chuckled. I was blind. Thought it was love. He shook his head slowly. Pablo's the guy who used to wait outside the professor's building every night until you finished practicing? We all thought you'd marry him the second you came back. I blinked and gave him a dazzling smile. Then I guess I should be glad I didn't marry him. After all, even someone who crossed an ocean just to see me ended up doing all sorts of intimate things with someone else. Just as I finished speaking, Pablo's name popped up on my phone screen. His persistence baffled me. I answered plainly, Pablo, do you need something? On the other end, only heavy breathing, just as I was about to hang up. His voice, low and hoarse, finally came through. Elena, where did you go? I'll come pick you up. Let's go home. I rubbed my temples, annoyed, frustration flashing through my eyes. We've already broken up. Don't you get that? You think I didn't know about you and Zoe? Sneaking out to watch the sunrise while I was asleep, making out in the dressing room while I was injured. You seriously want to pass that off as some PR stunt? Each word stabbed deep into his conscience. Pablo whispered my name, like he was making a vow. Elena, I've only ever wanted to marry you. I finished his sentence in my heart, but your heart and your love were never mine to begin with. Chapter 05. That phone call ended with me blocking his number before the line went dead. Pablo said with quiet frustration, Elena, I'll make you come back to me on your own. As soon as the news broke, him and Zoe joining a couple reality show together, everyone in the orchestra started eyeing me secretly. Gifts began appearing in my practice room. Sometimes a candy, sometimes a pair of unique earrings. I found it amusing and asked my senior. He gave me a bag of handmade cookies with a heartbroken look. From your sister-in-law. Everyone's just worried about you. The scar on my wrist was still there. Obvious. Glaring. But in my heart, there wasn't even a ripple. Every evening, Noah would wait outside the orchestra for me to finish rehearsal, then take me out for something warm and comforting. Sometimes I'd glance at him, quietly working on his laptop while waiting, and feel this deep, calming peace inside me. The person who truly waits for you doesn't need to say much. Their presence is enough. Pablo's so-called strategy to win me back was using his show with Zoe to provoke me. He never cared if it hurt me, but those who did care, they never made a scene. They just stayed, silently, always checking in. Zoe's alt Weibo account posted a picture of a shirtless man's back. As always, she tagged me. Caption, he's mine. No one can take him away. I was cleaning my cello bow and casually logged out of the account, so anxious over me leaving, but still sleeping with someone else. Pablo, is this what you call love? That night, another call came in from home. The gentle tone my mother always used with Zoe was now a piercing, sharp screech toward me. Ungrateful brat, where the hell are you running off to now? You think we can't live without you? Should have never brought you back. Ever since then, this house has had no peace. Don't ever come back. Zoe's a better match for Pablo than you'll ever be. Back then, when I used to cry because my parents favored Zoe so obviously, Pablo had told me, after you were kidnapped, your mom cried every day, and your dad stopped going to work just to look for you. But during all those years I was gone, the love and longing they claimed to have for me slowly shifted entirely onto Zoe. When I was finally found and brought home, I stood awkwardly in the lavish, well-decorated living room, wearing a pair of socks with a hole in them. Zoe, in her frilly princess dress, threw herself into my mother's arms, sobbing pitifully. Now that you have your real daughter, you're not going to abandon me, right? At the time, my parents were too busy soothing the girl in their arms. They didn't spare me even half a glance. Only Pablo held my hand tightly, whispering, "Don't be scared. I'll always be here." But promises made in youth don't hold up over time. My parents still treat me the same, cold, dismissive, like I'm a burden, and the boy who once swore to stand behind me is no longer someone I can lean on. Seeing me silent, my father grabbed the phone again, voice sharp. "We've seen the news about the show too. Men play along for the cameras. If you can't even accept that, how do you expect to get married? Elena, enough nonsense. We won't keep indulging you forever. If you don't want to marry Pablo, then fine, let Zoe have him." Even now, they still think I left out of spite, that I'm just waiting for Pablo to chase me down. But the man who swore to give me a home is the same one who secretly sleeps with my adoptive sister, and the family I called my own never once chose me. "Elena, I bought that dessert you mentioned before. Come try it." I looked up. Noah's gentle face was full of warmth. I had only casually mentioned that shop once, the one that takes at least 2 hours in line. Seeing the sweat clinging to his temples, I couldn't help the smile spreading on my face. Coming. Chapter 06. As the date of the orchestra's performance approached, I spent more and more time practicing in the music room. I hadn't clicked on a single piece of news from back home. On the day of the concert, I stood in my place, as the principal cellist, when my bow moved across the strings. I saw my teacher smiling with pride in the audience, and Noah beside him, giving me a thumbs up with glowing admiration. In my ears, the applause of the crowd, genuine and heartfelt. During the curtain call, my teacher took my hand and said, "For years away from the stage, but you still amaze them, just like the genius you've always been." Noah then took out a necklace and gently clasped it around my neck. The pendant, a diamond-studded cello. "Elena, you'll always be the brightest star in my eyes." After the concert, some viewers, touched by my performance, began searching for my old recordings, but the last concert they could find was from 4 years ago. Back then, I stood center stage at a grand theater, confidently playing one of my original pieces. But during those 4 years back home, I was reduced to nothing more than Zoe's background prop. And online, fans had mocked me relentlessly. Where did they find this no-name cellist? She looks so young, what does she even know about music? Probably just a flower vase Zoe's company sent to leech off popularity. But now, those insults and jeers faded behind me. In their place came cheers and applause that were truly mine. News headlines like, "Genius cellist returns to stage," "Symphony's principal cellist finally revealed," were already circulating back home. Outside the orchestra hall, I saw someone I didn't expect. Pablo stood there. No telling how long he had been waiting. A thin layer of snow had already gathered on his shoulders. When he saw me, he stubbed out his cigarette and gave a smile that tried to look warm. "Elena, how could you come back to perform without telling me? Your parents have been asking about you too. When are you coming home?" I looked at him without expression, until he began to shift uncomfortably. Finally, I said, "Did you forget? We have nothing to do with each other anymore." He sighed, and for a moment, a sadness I couldn't understand flickered in his eyes. "Elena, you're the only woman I want to marry. We'll have a beautiful life together." Maybe the novelty with Zoe had worn off, and he started missing the days he spent with me. Or maybe, he genuinely didn't want to let go of our 9 years together. But none of that mattered anymore. "You and Zoe still have your couple show to finish filming. Pablo, a traitor in love doesn't deserve a home." I let out a soft, emotionless laugh. From behind me, Noah's voice rang out, "Elena, today's afternoon tea is chestnut cake. Don't waste your time on people who don't matter." I ignored Pablo completely and turned to walk upstairs. Coincidentally, the final stop of their reality show was in France. Our orchestra manager came to me with hesitation. "Elena, the production team from a domestic variety show contacted me. They want to record at the performance venue." I paused for a second, then replied indifferently, "As long as they don't disturb our work, it's fine." Zoe, upset about Pablo's reaction to my departure, was the one who insisted on attending the orchestra's performance. Backstage, just before curtain time, she cornered me at the dressing room door. "Elena, since you already left, stop clinging to Pablo." I raised a brow, amused. "Don't tell me you're still waiting for him to propose to you?" Her face turned crimson, eyes brimming with fury. "If you hadn't come back, I would have been the one marrying Pablo." In Zoe's selfish little world, my parents, my life, everything, was supposed to belong to her. Back when I left to study abroad, she stood at the airport and said, "You shouldn't go." Looking back now, Zoe probably had everything planned from the start, whether it was calculated seduction or sincere affection. Pablo had become her willing conquest. I brushed past her with cold indifference. Zoe folded her arms, smirking with disdain. "Stop pretending like you don't care. I dare you not to regret this." Chapter 07. The orchestra performance went smoothly as always. The final act was, once again, my cello solo. The audience responded with overwhelming praise. But online, a storm was brewing. A notoriously harsh music critic reviewed my performance. "No soul, bland and lifeless, unworthy of the cello. Even the way she holds the instrument is wrong." Another clout-chasing influencer. People who didn't know music believed his authoritative tone. And then, someone just happened to expose my affair with Zoe's boyfriend. Photos surfaced. Me holding Pablo's arm, smiling at him fondly. Us shopping for groceries, strolling through malls. Zoe, ever the pitiful act. Posted on Weibo. Don't blame Pablo, please. Some people seduce intentionally. He only loves me. Her fans pounced on me, furious. I knew she was getting too close to Pablo on the show. Total homewrecker. Just because she plays cello abroad, she thinks she's all that? Noah looked at me, worried. He pointed to the screen. Elena, you might want to stay off your phone for a while. Zoe really was both stupid and vicious. She thought slapping a homewrecker label on me would kill Pablo's desire to reconcile and destroy my career in the process. But before I could even issue a statement, a photo of me with my mentor started trending. Some netizen left a comment on my senior's social media, asking, why would a clout-chasing woman like her be posing with a cello legend? My senior, confused, replied, that's my junior. She's Professor John's final disciple. Who's this clout-chasing woman you're talking about? Then, Pablo's company's official account released a statement. MS. Elena has always been our CEO's fiancé. Soon after, Zoe's alt account and mine were dug up. People found my old posts, dating back 9 years, documenting my relationship with Pablo. Watched fireworks with Pablo today. So beautiful. I wrote a cello piece for his birthday. He said he'd attend every performance of mine. My sister broke the bracelet Pablo gave me. I'm heartbroken. Days studying abroad go so slowly. I can't wait to return home to see Pablo. Pablo stood in the snow for hours, just to see me for 5 minutes. The very last post I ever made after returning to China was, the world has changed. Everything has come to rest. Every single post Zoe made was meant to provoke me. Photos of Pablo sleeping, carefully chosen gifts, and their hand-in-hand selfies. But the blades she threw spun back like boomerangs and cut deep into her own skin. Back in Beijing, Pablo confronted her in anger. What the hell were you trying to do? Her nose was red, eyes watery with fake innocence. Pablo, I just love you too much. But Pablo yanked his hand away in disgust. You were the one who said you didn't want a title and wouldn't let Elena find out. Those provoking posts and pictures, weren't you the one who posted them, tagging Elena in every single one? Tears rolled down her cheeks, deliberately pitiful. She already left you. I just wanted to teach her a lesson. Pablo sneered coldly. You wanted to marry me. You wanted to destroy Elena's career. Brilliant scheme. His fists clenched, veins bulging with fury, as he trembled dialing my number. But I had long since blocked him. He said he missed me, while he tangled in Zoe's bed. He said 9 years was bland, while Zoe was excitement. One thing after another. Those cracks led us to where we are now. Elena. In the end, I lost you. Chapter 08. I no longer paid attention to the chaos back home. Sometimes, Pablo would show up at my orchestra's performances, but I never saw him once. The day of my cello solo performance, Noah was more nervous than I was, trying to act calm. He said, Elena, don't be scared. After the show, I'll take you to see fireflies. Clumsy as ever, trying to ease my nerves. I smiled at him. As long as you're with me, I'm not afraid. He looked up, surprised and quietly overjoyed. The concert ended in complete success. During the curtain call, I thanked my teacher, my senior, everyone in the orchestra, and the one who always waited for me, Noah. Down in the audience, Pablo's brow furrowed, his lips pressed into a tight line, visibly unsettled. As I left the theater, Pablo stopped me, holding a bouquet of roses in his arms. Elena, I know I was wrong. Zoe's reputation is in ruins. Your parents gave her money and kicked her out. Elena, our 9 years weren't just a number. I was blinded by novelty, but I swear I'll never make the same mistake again. I took a few steps back, covering my nose, then met his eyes, and gave a faint shake of my head. You forgot again. I'm allergic to roses. Pablo, you still think I'm just throwing a tantrum. One moment you were rubbing my belly because of cramps. The next, off to Zoe's side the second she called. The first photo she ever sent me was of you, lying on her lap, twirling her hair around your fingers. Whenever I see you, those disgusting images come flooding back to me. You're nothing but a repulsive stranger. Pablo trembled at my words, then sank to the ground, covering his face and weeping silently. I looked down at him, cold and distant, then walked right past him, into Noah's arms, wide open, waiting just for me. After that day, I never saw Pablo again. Noah and I were married in spring. When the flowers bloomed, we held our wedding on a small island in France, just like the one I always dreamed of. What I didn't expect was a few uninvited guests. Somehow, news of my wedding had spread back home. At the chapel door stood my parents, and Pablo. My father looked like he had aged 10 years. His back no longer straight. My mother had lost her former elegance. Fine lines traced her eyes. Noah glanced at me, cautiously. He held me gently and whispered, "Want me to have someone escort them out?" I shook my head. No need. They don't matter anymore. Just make sure they don't cause trouble. Noah tucked a lock of hair behind my ear and said softly, "Then let them see with their own eyes how happy you are." When we exchanged rings, and Noah kissed my lips, I heard it, a faint, stifled sob, as my parents left. They turned around again and again, 3 steps, a look back, again and again, but I never called out to them, not once. Pablo came over and handed me a delicately wrapped box. "Elena, I was going to give this to you when we got married. It's that thing you said you always wanted." I smiled, cutting him off. "Pablo, stop coming back. All I see now is your hypocrisy." Then casually tossed the box into the trash. I linked arms with Noah and walked away. The cello piece I once composed at 18, for the boy I loved, its notes faded, leaving nothing but silence. Chapter 09. Later on, Zoe burned through every cent her family gave her. Pablo hired someone to lure her into gambling, until she fell deep into debt. When she found out it was Pablo who had orchestrated her downfall, she waited outside his villa for days, after being chased off by the security guards. Resentful and furious, she started stalking his office. One night, in the early hours, Pablo left work unaware of the danger. Zoe hit him with her car and dragged him dozens of meters down the road. The once brilliant CEO lost both of his legs. His company's stocks were massively bought out. The group changed hands. After that, Pablo was never seen in public again. As for me, everything from back then in China had already faded. Like a long-forgotten dream, the final stop of our orchestra tour was in Huaxia. Noah and our son came to pick me up. Our little boy stared intently at something in the distance. I followed his gaze, but saw nothing. It wasn't until we got in the car that he spoke in his soft little voice. "Mommy, there was a strange uncle in a wheelchair over there. When he looked at you, he seemed like he was crying." I paused for a second, then reached out and stroked his soft hair, kissed his little cheek, his brows still lightly furrowed, and with a smile, I said, "Just a stranger. No need to think about it."